Hey there, eh? It's your friendly neighborhood Canadian here to talk about Canada? Yep, you heard that right. The land of maple syrup and politeness is facing some tough times, and it's got everyone saying sorry for their shrinking wallets. The Fraser Institute, a Canadian think tank, has been tracking living standards for a while now. Their latest report? Let's just say it's not pretty. Canadians are working harder, earning less, and watching their dreams of a comfy life slowly melt away like a snowman in July. What's going on, Canada? You guys are usually so cheery. This isn't the Canada I know from those ridiculously wholesome beer commercials. Time to dig a little deeper and see what's got Canada feeling blue? Don't worry, I'll bring the Timbits. Now, Canada isn't a stranger to economic hiccups. Remember the recession of the early 1990s? Or the 2008 global financial crisis? Yeah, those weren't fun. But here's the thing. This time feels different. Back then, it was like Canada caught a cold. Unpleasant, sure, but it bounced back. This time, it's like a chronic condition, a nagging cough that just won't quit. In the past, recessions were triggered by specific events, like a stock market crash or a housing bubble bursting. This time, the problems seem more deeply rooted, like a weed that's grown through the cracks of the Canadian economy. Inflation is soaring, housing is bananas expensive, and wages? Let's just say they're not winning any races. It's a perfect storm, and everyday Canadians are getting soaked. All right, folks, time for some real talk. We often hear about the economy in abstract terms, but today we're going to break it down and see what the numbers are really telling us. Let's look at the cold, hard data. Numbers don't lie, and they paint a picture that's worth 1,000 words. And trust me, when it comes to economics, the numbers are rarely sexy, but they are crucial for understanding where we stand. First up, wages. They've been basically flatlining for years. Despite the rising cost of living, paychecks haven't kept pace. Remember when a good job meant you could buy a house, raise a family, and still afford a vacation? Those days seem like a distant memory. These days, many Canadians are working 2 or 3 jobs just to keep their heads above water. The gig economy is booming, but at what cost? Next, GDP, the big kahuna of economic indicators. It's the yardstick by which we measure economic health. It's supposed to measure how much the economy is growing. But growth isn't just about numbers. It's about quality of life. Well, Canada's GDP has been sputtering like a rusty old hockey puck. It's moving, but not fast enough. Not exactly a winning goal. And finally, population growth. More people usually means more economic activity. Canada's population is growing, which is usually a good thing. More people can mean more innovation, more ideas, and more growth. But here's the catch. The economy isn't growing fast enough to keep up. More people are competing for the same resources. It's like trying to fit a whole hockey team on a Zamboni. There's just not enough room for everyone. Someone's going to get left behind. And that's a reality we can't ignore. The numbers don't lie, people. They tell a story of an economy that's struggling to keep up with its own growth. Canada's economy is facing some serious challenges. From stagnant wages to slow GDP growth, the signs are all there. Time to figure out what's going wrong and how to fix it. We need solutions that address the root causes, not just the symptoms. Because nobody wants to see Canada go from strong and free to broke and begging for poutine. It's time for action, and it starts with understanding the numbers. Section 4, Trudeau's Economic Playbook. Okay, so Canada's economy is feeling a little under the weather. The streets are quieter, shops are closing, and there's a general sense of unease among the people. Who's been calling the shots? Who's been steering the ship through these turbulent waters? Well, for the past 8 years, it's been Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. He's been the face of Canada's leadership, making decisions that impact every Canadian. Now, I'm not saying Trudeau is to blame for all of Canada's problems. That would be an oversimplification. That would be like blaming a single beaver for a dam collapse. It's a complex issue with many contributing factors. But his economic policies haven't exactly been a game changer either. One word, spending. And not just any spending, but massive, unprecedented levels of spending. Trudeau's government has been spending like a teenager with their parents' credit card. It's been a spree, with money flowing into various sectors without much restraint. And while some spending is necessary, especially during a pandemic, many economists argue that Trudeau's spending sprees have actually fueled inflation, making life even more expensive for everyday Canadians. Prices are rising, and people are feeling the pinch. Then there's the issue of business investment. Businesses are the lifeblood of the economy, providing jobs and driving growth. Businesses are the engine of any economy, and right now, Canada's engine is sputtering. Factories are quiet, and business districts are eerily empty. High taxes and red tape have made it tough for businesses to thrive, leading to fewer jobs and slower economic growth. Entrepreneurs are struggling to get their ventures off the ground. Look, I'm not an economist, I just play one on TV. But the signs are clear and the news isn't good. But even I can see that something's got to give. The current trajectory isn't sustainable, and changes need to be made. Canada needs a plan to get its economy back on track, and fast. The government needs to take decisive action to stabilize the situation. Because right now, it feels like the only thing booming in Canada is the price of maple syrup. And while we all love maple syrup, it's not enough to sustain an entire economy. The government needs to focus on creating a more business-friendly environment, reducing taxes, and cutting through the red tape that stifles innovation. Canadians are calling for change. They're demanding a government that listens and acts in their best interest. With the right policies, Canada can bounce back. Small businesses can thrive again, and the economy can regain its strength. It's a challenging road ahead, but with determination and smart decisions, Canada can overcome these economic hurdles and emerge stronger than ever. Section 5. The Canadian Dream. Fading fast? All right, let's get real for a second. The Canadian dream, once a beacon of hope and prosperity, is now under threat. What does all this economic doom and gloom mean for everyday Canadians? It's not just numbers on a financial report. It's real lives being affected. Well, for starters, it means the Canadian dream, the one with the cozy cabin, the friendly moose, and the healthcare that doesn't bankrupt you, is starting to feel a little out of reach. The idyllic vision of a peaceful life in the Great White North is becoming more of a fantasy. Taxes are up, and not just a little bit. We're talking significant increases that are hitting the wallets of Canadians hard. Canadians are now paying some of the highest taxes in the developed world. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a major financial burden. And what are they getting for all that hard-earned cash? The return on investment seems to be dwindling. Well, let's just say the roads could be smoother, the healthcare system could be faster, and the housing market. It's a nightmare. Don't even get me started. The housing market is in shambles, with prices soaring beyond the reach of average Canadians. Speaking of housing, good luck finding an affordable place to live in Canada these days. The dream of home ownership is slipping away for many. Prices have skyrocketed, especially in big cities like Toronto and Vancouver. These urban centers are becoming increasingly unaffordable. It's gotten so bad that even squirrels are struggling to find decent tree hollows. It's a metaphor for the housing crisis affecting all levels of society. And if you thought it couldn't get any worse, think again. The financial strain is pushing many to the brink. Bankruptcy filings are on the rise, as more and more Canadians find themselves drowning in debt. This isn't just a statistic, it's a growing crisis. Crime rates are also creeping up as desperation starts to set in. When people are pushed to their limits, the social fabric begins to fray. This isn't the Canada the world used to envy. The image of a prosperous, peaceful nation is being overshadowed by economic hardship. This is a Canada grappling with some serious economic anxieties, and its citizens are feeling the squeeze. The question now is, how will Canada navigate these turbulent times? Will the Canadian dream be restored, or is it fading fast, slipping through the fingers of those who once believed in it so strongly? The future remains uncertain, but one thing is clear. The challenges are real and the stakes are high.